Good evening to you and welcome back to Closing Arguments. We're so glad you're with us. I'm Julie Grant, just helping out, filling in all this week for Vinny. He deserves the time off. He will be back next week and I'll be back on my show opening statements as well. Now, it has been just over a day since that big verdict was announced in the dentist mastermind murder trial. Dr. Charlie Adelson, now a disgraced doctor after being found guilty of murder, after he hired two hitmen to kill his sister's ex-husband, Dan Markel. Now, the long-awaited guilty verdict came nearly a decade after Markel's murder back in 2014. In case you missed it, here's that moment when Charlie Adelson became the fourth person convicted in Dan Markel's death.
The state of Florida versus Charles Adelson, case number 2016 CF 3036B. Verdict. Count one. We, the jury, find as follows as to count one of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Count two. We, the jury, find as follows as to count two of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count three. We, the jury, find as follows as to count three of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. So say we all, this 6th day of November, 2023.
Oh, he looked sick, didn't he? He's gonna perhaps spend the rest of his life behind bars, and good. I want to welcome in now a very special guest. She's joining us by phone as she is still in Tallahassee without her computer. She's just got her phone on her. She's been very busy the last several weeks. She's an author, an advocate, and most importantly, the proud mother of Dan Markel. Ruth Markel is joining us tonight by phone. Ruth, first of all, thank you for being with us. And I just want to share with you, there is such a tremendous outpouring of love and support from our Court TV family, our amazing viewers that watch all around the world and have become so interested in this case because they've wanted to see justice for your son. Now that that day has finally come with respect to Charlie Adelson, how does it feel today, the day after the closing of the trial?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate going on this particular program, and of course the whole community of supporters and commenters and everybody online and in person. So just, thank you very much. For me, it's a very good day. It has some mixed, aspects to it. I'm definitely relieved. I'm definitely pleased. I'm very grateful to the extraordinary leadership, from the State Attorney's Office, from Jack Campbell, the prosecutors, Georgia Kappelman, and Sarah Dugan and their team, Jason Newland, and the full team, the TPD, the Tallahassee Police Department, the FBI. This is a really full, commanding order from a lot of participants. So those are all the good feelings. At the same time, I am sad that Dan is not here. I would prefer not to have this positive outcome and have really Danny and his family much close to us. There's other feelings that are concerning as well. So I would tell you that I have the full gamut of emotions as I stay here, in Tallahassee a day later. It runs a full circle of all kinds of feelings.
I'm sure it does, Ruth. When there is some closure to a case, it's never full and complete closure, right? Because there's always going to be that hole in your heart, that void that will never be filled. Losing your son in such a brutal way. May I just say, and I know so many people share these sentiments, you have epitomized class, grace, professionalism, civility, all of those things in that courtroom. And that couldn't have been easy. I know many of us were watching you when our cameras would get a shot of the gallery and we would see you watching, listening intently, and We know that judges make sure that no one in the gallery is making expressions or anything. You have to be very careful, and that is tough. What was that like for you, listening to that testimony and being so close with these players involved in your son's death?
Well, it's a very interesting part. Some of the old testimony, meaning related to certainly the wiretapping and the Dolce Vita, we had been familiar with, but the focus now on Charlie Adelson and the twist, from the defense to call it extortion. So you have to listen, with some parts it's, you're familiar, and the other part of it, you better listen carefully, because if the extortion theory even had a chance to breathe, you kind of want to make sure it doesn't. So I think there's a lot of intrigue. And at the same time, you are really listening sharply, because you want to make sure, first of all, there's no new information, and that's most important. There's no new evidence, right? And that's what, like if you've been through, and, this is our fourth trial, it's a hard thing, but you start to have a little bit of experience, in sort of sensing how the evidence could be used or how the evidence could be changed. So it's intense. The answer really to help, sort of put an emotion on it. It's very intense.
Yes, I'm sure you're exhausted today. And of course, many people who have watched this trial, myself included, are waiting for the other shoe to drop. I've said several times on my show, Opening Statements in the Morning, I said it last night on Closing Arguments as I'm covering for Vinny here this week, that it's my opinion as an attorney, as a former prosecutor, as a trial expert. I teach trial advocacy. My opinion, prosecutors have enough information to go forward against 3 other Adelsons. Donna, Harvey, there's 2 of them on the screen. Wendy's the 3rd. I am waiting to see these arrest warrants issued. And Ruth, I want to give our viewers full disclosure. You are not at liberty to talk about any other Adelsons tonight, and that's fine. Who wants to talk about them? Let's talk about who matters in this case, your grandkids. First question about them, please, Ruth. How are they doing tonight?
Well, we really don't know. This is my worry. When I tell you I have a full range of emotions, so I'm definitely sad, obviously, because this is the real hole in my heart for Danny. Mm-hmm. But I'm worried. So the worry is the children, the grandchildren, who are now 14 and 13. And we do know that they've had some communication with Charlie, but we don't know what they know. So I think whatever they didn't know before yesterday, at some point they'll have to be told much more. So I'm going to be, hopefully I have a visit arranged with them in December, and hopefully I will see them then, and we'll find out, more. But this is trauma when you start to have the window open in your life, and you see that some members of your family are now, they're no more just accused, right? They're now convicted of actually, participating in the murder of their father. I mean, this is not even removed. This is their father. Mm-hmm. So I'm worried. I've always been worried about the mental health of the kids, and I'm even more worried now, to be honest with you. This is like sort of, it's like a coin here, you flip the good part and then you flip the other side. Right. It starts the whole worry and the situation.
Right. It's endless worry, really. Our hearts go out to you, Ruth. They really do. You have taken action, too, and I want to speak to you about this. We talked about it when you came on Opening Statements prior to the trial beginning. You've done work with the Florida legislature, and a little bit even came out about this during the trial, about grandparent visitation rights, because you were deprived the ability to see your grandkids after your son was so brutally taken away. Where do things stand now with the bill that you have proposed, Ruth?
Okay, so to just sort of step back a second, the first 2 years I did, so from 2014 to 2016, I did see the grandchildren. They were very, very young at the time. They were 3 and 4. And later on, after the arrest, we were cut off. And as a result of being cut off, first we tried, to get our lawyer and Wendy's lawyer, that's the boy's mother, to, kind of create an agreement. I was ready for supervised visitation. I would do anything to see the kids, and that didn't work. And then actually Phil and I Dan's father never went on TV in the early years, and then we decided, look, we have access to the media. The media has been very, very supportive to our family. Let's try with that. And of course, that didn't work. So subsequent to that, we were very fortunate. I was very fortunate to meet a young woman. Her name is Karen Cyphers, who worked in Tallahassee, and she came to me right after Garcia's trial, and she said, what can I do for you? And I blurted out grandparent alienation. And then Karen really created this phenomenal community in Tallahassee, and I met her in October of 2019, and in January 2020, she had Senator Jeff Brandeis actually introduce a bill to the Senate, I should say. And then after that, we waited a couple of years. It didn't go through because we didn't have enough time. But in 2022, the Markel Act was signed by Governor DeSantis in June. And it's really a very, very important part of having some support for very restrictive situations. It's not just for anybody, any grandparent. I don't want to have false beliefs. It's only sort of implicated or useful in the time when there is actually a spouse who has died or been killed or murdered or so on, where there's suspicion. But when they're actually afterwards, there is civil or criminal similar criminal charges against them.
Boy, that is marvelous. Bravo, Ruth. Bravo to you for getting that into law. And I heard Wendi Adelson's snarky comment during the trial saying, oh, some parts of it are unconstitutional. Yeah, well, really wouldn't put a lot of weight on her legal opinion, as this is a woman who said she didn't even bother to read her brother's indictment when he was indicted for the murder of her ex-husband. Pants on fire is what I say to that. Ruth Markel, every good wish to you and your family. We have a feeling that this is far from over. You've been through 4 trials, and there may be a few more coming your way as well, but you are certainly strong enough to handle it. Thank you for speaking with us, and please come back on the program very soon, Ruth.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, and keep keeping the light on the Dan Markel murder. It's very important because, as you say, there's a full range of further situations that might still come out.
You're right, Ruth. We will continue to shine a light on his case. And boy, oh boy, what a beautiful legacy your son has left behind. Last night on the show, we had one of his former students who said that he really helped shape him and to become the attorney he is today, the way he would encourage him as a student, encourage him to speak up and to argue what he believed in. And so your son really affected a lot of people and was such a bright light in this world. Know that his memory lives on. Wow, Ruth Markel, thank you again. There's so much more to talk about with this case. I want to bring in my think tank now and talk about what we have seen in this case, what developments may lie ahead. I want to bring in criminal defense attorney and the woman who's known as Lawyer Lori on TikTok, Lori Murray, former police lieutenant and trial attorney Rick King, and former federal prosecutor and professor of law at Texas Southern University, Michael Sterling. Wonderful to see you all this evening. Oh, I know your hearts break for Ruth Markel and the whole Markel family, as does mine. I want to pick your brains about what Ruth was not at liberty to speak about, and that is what's next for these other Adelsons. I'm waiting for 3 arrest warrants to be issued. Rick King, you've served in law enforcement. You do criminal defense work now. Let me start with you, please, my friend. What do you think we're going to see with these 3?
So I'm probably going to be the one naysayer.
That's okay.
Because I look at the case like this. So first you have the arrest of Garcia and Rivera, and then they flip. Then you have the arrest of Catherine McBanoa, and now she's flipped. Now we have the arrest of Charlie Adelson. I don't think Charlie's going to flip. And with what they have right now, they have cryptic phone calls between Charlie and his mom, and they have phone calls contemporaneously or very near the events taking place of the murder, and with their mom, and also the bump with the mom, things like that. But I don't know that that's enough to get an indictment. For the Adelman family, I would hope that something can come out of it, but I'm not optimistic that they have the information right now to move forward with further indictments.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see if your other counterparts agree with you or disagree, Rick King. Lawyer Lori, to you next. What do you think, please?
I personally believe that there is enough to at least take to the grand jury evidence against the mom. The other two are a little bit more obscure, but you've got the mom on tape with the bump. You've got all of those phone calls and text messages between them. I think there's enough at least to take it to the grand jury and see if there's probable cause there. Give it a shot.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. Michael Sterling, last but not least, your opinion, please.
Well, I think Charlie's going to flip.
I do too, Michael. I do too.
Yeah. One thing that I know, and I can tell the difference between my clients, the difference between my white collar clients and my clients who've been in this in the criminal business for a while, is they know the cost of doing business, right? So some of my cases where I'm dealing with, clients who may be accused of dealing in illegal narcotics trafficking, for example, they kind of understand the cost of doing business. Maybe that you get arrested may serve time. White collar clients, people like Charlie, who are not built for this, so to speak, are the exact type of people who flip the quickest and the easiest. And now that he's facing spending the rest of his life in prison, family or not, mother or not, whoever, if there's an opportunity, he's not built for this.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Michael Sterling.
Wait a minute. I got to push back on Mike just a bit.
We got just a couple of seconds, Rick. Okay, quickly.
It's not odd that Mike and I would disagree, but Charlie Adelson is a mama's boy. He is not flipping on his mom.
He is a mama's boy, but in prison, he doesn't want to be someone else's mama's boy, I'm just saying, I think he's going to roll.